Hello and welcome to Paper Plays Julie K.
Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for stopping by to check out my latest video. And today I just thought I would pop on. I'm just kind of starting to make some maybe journal cards or tags for a journal that I want to make. I'm going to be making a fall themed journal, kind of inspired by this little pillowcase that I have. One of my old neighbors who is kind of like a grandma made it for me a long time ago, and I used it, but it's kind of it's old and it's kind of falling apart, so I'm just going to cut out the embroidery part and use that probably on the cover of a journal along with the trim. Like I said, she was kind of like a grandma to me. Her name was Tracy, and she had made this gift box and she had it set aside for me for my wedding, and she happened to pass away long before her wedding. But then when her daughter was going through the house, she came across the box and she gave it to my mom and just said, you know, here's something that my mom had left for Julie for when she got married. And so my mom held on to it for me until I got married and gave me the box. So yeah, that's where that pillowcase came from, and I have a set of them. But again, I just thought with the orange and the yellow in there, that might make a nice fall color. And then I had picked up some of this material at the thrift store, so I'm thinking those will go together somehow for a cover. I also have some different trims that are kind of in fall themes that I've set aside. And then today I thought basically what I was going to do is just kind of go through. I have little bins of junk, like old tags and envelopes. This one happens to be more of the clothing tag pile. And so I thought I'd pull out a couple of these tags and then alter them using scraps and then some digital stuff, and then possibly pull in some of the trims that I have in my stash that I thought would match. And I'm going to play with today. I have a few sets that came from Lorna Taylor on Etsy, tailor-made journals. She has some label sets that have, let me see if I can find one that I haven't cut up into yet that kind of look like this with labels in it. And I kind of cut out some of the orange colored ones or fall colored ones. She also has some autumn clip art, which has some fox and some pumpkins, and there's leaves on those. And there's some pretty fall themed people and pumpkins, so I pulled out some of those. And then I also have I did pull out, because I had printed them earlier, and I pulled out, she has also a kit that I had printed off some of the pages. It was like a mushroom and ferns kit. And so I did cut out, I think, one to play with today, a mushroom that was kind of in a fall color. And so I pulled those out to work with. So all three kits are from Lorna Taylor, so I will link her Etsy store below in the description box. And then I also pulled out, I have a ton of scrap papers, and so I pulled out scrap papers that kind of that matched some of the digitals. And I have a few other random pieces that I pulled out that I thought would match. So one of the tags that I pulled out that I thought I would play with first, it was this one. It came from something of my husband bought. I just like the square shape of it. So I'm just going to maybe find some scrapbooking paper in this pile here to match. And then I also have this little label. And like I said, I'm probably going to add this trim, I'm thinking, to it. And I don't know. I'm thinking, these are really nice. Some of them have a little bit of hint of purple in them. So I did pull some purple scrapbooking paper. And this one right now is kind of what's standing out to me for one of the papers. And I would really like to pull out some of that orange color too, but I don't know that rusty color. Didn't really have a lot in my stash for scraps that match that. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull that one off to match. But I think this kind of matches this trim. And I got this trim, actually. I bought some jewelry off of someone on Etsy for a wedding recently, and she had it wrapped up in this really pretty trim. I thought, oh, that might work for this this journal, so I kept it. There's also, I have a little brown color here too that I could maybe match up with the purple. I'm just trying to see if here's a little bit more of a fall looking one, or there's a lighter brown. And again, I just kind of wanted to play with my scraps and not really cut into anything new or print off any. I think I have a couple of digital kits that are fall themed, but I don't think I have any papers of those printed off. So I just wanted to play with what I already had printed off in my stash. For whatever reason, I'm liking just a little bit of that orange in here today. I'm normally not an orange person, but kind of like that orange and purple. I know it's kind of different. I'm just debating between which papers I like here. Maybe these two I'll do something with for this one. And then when I'm all done recording, I'll probably go and back the sides with like tea-dyed or coffee-dyed paper. And I'm just going to pull out, I think, some distress ink, I think, to use on all these. I wonder if I have. I'm just going to see what this color looks like. It's a distress ink. I don't think I've hardly ever used it, but I just remembered I had it. It's called Rusty Hinge. So let me just see what that looks like real quick. I'm just kind of curious just so I kind of know what I want to ink my edges with. I think I'm going to go with that one for this journal instead of, usually vintage photos my go-to usually, but I think I'm going to use that one to ink edges. So I think to start with, I'm just going to kind of rip around this image. So hopefully everyone's doing well. I know I've been kind of busy. We just got back from a wedding. One of my nephews got married. It was a really lovely wedding out in Wyoming, and she kind of did a boho Western style theme. So it was kind of fun. You know, everybody kind of dressed up kind of in a Western theme. My husband was happy he got to wear jeans to the wedding with a little shirt, and we had a cowboy hat for him that came from his uncle who had passed away, who was really big into cowboy hats. So my husband got to wear that, and then he bought a pair of cowboy boots, and I wore a kind of a flowy blue jean skirt that I actually found at the thrift store. And then I just found a top in my stash that kind of, in my closet, that worked for kind of the color theme. That, you know, it was kind of a bluish color that kind of matched well enough to what my husband was wearing, because I just figured since we were somewhat dressed up, maybe it'd be a good time to take a couple pictures. So I like that. And then let's see, I have this tag right here that was one of Lorna Taylor's tag. I think I'm going to add this. I'm going to use my corner rounder on the edges. I currently have a very messy desk. I need to clean and organize the scraps that are sitting on it. I've been working on my pocket reference junk journal, so I have just a lot of pieces kind of floating around next to me that I need to reorganize. So I think that'll work, you know, and add that tag on there somehow. So I just got to decide how I'm going to add the paper on here. And I still might add another piece of paper behind this. Yeah, let's just glue down some of this paper. So yeah, like I said, the wedding was kind of fun, and my husband and I, we took an extra day to get down there. My husband, some people may know, but he collects like rocks and petrified wood. And on the way we had to go through like South Dakota, so we decided to stop at a few few rock shops in South Dakota. So we did that on the way down. So he had a good time. And then he got to spend, you know, a short period of time with his brother, and his parents came to the wedding, and so that was good. I think they're just getting home. They took a little bit longer to get down. They like to go to the casinos every once in a while, so they stopped at a couple casinos, and then they were going to do that on the way home. And then I also suspect that this time of year they like to go check out the fall colors. So I think they were going to go check out, you know, some places with pretty leaves on their way home. They were just going to do that. Just seeing which direction I wanted to kind of orientate things on here. That'll work. I think I like that. So I'm getting a little bit extra time today in my craft room, the day that I'm filming this. It's, I don't know how long it'll take me to, you know, have a chance to edit it, because sometimes it takes me a few days just to edit things. But it's a Thursday, so that means that there's football on, so my husband's gonna watch football tonight, and I think I'm gonna come back down after supper and craft again. So I'll have another little crafting session that I'll be able to craft and, you know, maybe get ahead on a video or two. Like I said, it'll probably take me a while to edit. That's always my least favorite thing, is to go in and edit videos. But I certainly like to craft and to create things. So I am going to take my little corner rounder and make these a little bit more round on the edges. And I don't know if I'm going to add this as a tag. I think I'm going to leave it as a journaling card. It's a nice, very sturdy tag, that's for sure. I like this one. And I kind of feel like, you know, I think I'm going to go like that. I'm just deciding if I want to put another layer behind this, like of some coffee dyed paper, or if I want a little layer of some sort of brown paper, or if I want, you know, some sort of vintage paper. Yeah, I think I do want a little bit of that brown paper on here. If I don't like it, I can always cut it off again. So you guys will have to let me know how you're all doing, and if you have any fall activities going on. For my husband and I, it's usually kind of quiet. We're still working on paperwork left from our summer work, and I usually, because we kind of have to use the same notes, because we take notes in the field in a notebook, and so I usually start in the morning and I work on the paperwork, and then my husband does it in the afternoon, so then he takes the notes. So I just do a lot of the data entry stuff, and he writes more of the narrative stuff. So I do the little charts and different things. Right now I'm working on, he assesses wetlands for the coal mine currently, or that's what this work is for. Because they assess, you know, before they do the coal mining, and then they make new wetlands after they're done doing the coal mining. And so they kind of bring it back to the way it was a little bit. But so we assess what's there before they mine the coal, and then again after they've made some new wetlands. So we were just surveying a new area, and so I've just been entering all the little plant species that were in the wetlands, the different wetlands. So I have some nice, species lists that I can just go and copy and paste, and then some of these grasslands have values, the plant species do, like if they're better plants than others or whatever. So I just write down, or put them in a nice little Excel table. So I do have these little leaves that I picked these up at a rummage sale a long time ago that I've been slowly using them on projects. So I think I'm going to add something like that. And I still think it needs like one more element. Like maybe I'll just put a button there. Or I had these little gold buttons. I think I kind of like these. Let's see what these look like. Yeah, I think I like that. I'll have to cut off the back of it. I don't know. I can't remember if this is the tool that cuts these off or not. Yep. So that'll work. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. So yeah, in the mornings then I work on the paperwork a little bit, and I usually get up, and I've been trying to work out for a half hour, and then I work on the paperwork. Usually my husband isn't even up. I just don't need as much sleep as he does. So I usually go to bed after he does, and I wake up before he does. So I kind of feel like I get extra time during the day because of that. So isn't that cute? I like that. Oh, and I forgot I was going to add some of that trim, but let's see before I maybe still can put some trim across the bottom. I was going to do that down the middle behind all this stuff. I can still add it. This will take a little bit to dry. I don't have my glue gun plugged in, so I'm going to see if the glossy accents usually works for gluing down buttons. The one thing I don't like about it though is the top always gets clogged. And I still might go back in later and maybe stamp the word fall or something across the top, but I think that'll work for my first one. And I just have to trim this off. So I will go in and add some tea-dyed paper on the back later. I'm not going to do that now. But I like how that one turned out. And I think I have time to do one more. So I think I had another one set aside for now. I had pulled a couple of pieces. So here's another one of Lorna Taylor's images, and I kind of fell in love with that one, so I knew I wanted to make something out of that one. And then again, I have another tag here that came from, I don't know if it came from our lawnmower or one of the other tools that we have that has the batteries, that runs on batteries versus gas. Like we have a weed whip and one of those leaf blowers, so I'm not quite sure which one that one came with. But I was thinking on this one, I wanted to maybe highlight again the purple, and so I had picked out this purple scrap to do something. And then I had this brown paper picked out. And then put her on here and maybe layer this orange scrap somehow behind her. And then I had some purple trim and another scrap piece of lace that I was going to use one of these trims, not all three of the purples, but on here. So that's kind of right away I saw that when I saw her, when I was looking at my paper scraps. So I'm just going to go ahead and add some glue to this tag. Yeah, I'm hoping to get this journal done. It just depends upon how busy the next month or two gets. October is my birthday month, so and then it's also my mom's birthday, and then my sister has a birthday next month. So it's sometimes, and I have some friends with birthdays, so sometimes I end up going out with them and just extra trips because I live in a small town and my husband and I moved, and so still a lot of my friends live. We also have an apartment back in Fargo, North Dakota, so oftentimes I go back and I check the mail and check on the apartment. We used to have a condo, but then we sold that when the market was pretty good, and now we just rent an apartment just because we're back there quite a bit, and my husband kind of uses that address for his work business. So I do go back quite a bit just to Fargo, and so I'll probably, go out with a couple of friends because we celebrate our birthdays this month, and do some of that stuff too this month. So I don't think I'm going to do anything too significant on my birthday, which my birthday's tomorrow. My husband, we're going to run to the grocery store. I think, I haven't decided yet if I want like a surf and turf type thing with shrimp, or if I just want steak on the grill. I like the way he makes steak, so usually on my birthday, if I don't want to go and eat somewhere, he'll make whatever I want, and then he does all the cleanup and stuff, so that's kind of nice. So I like that, and let's see, I think I'm just going to do straight lines on this one. I don't think I want to do ripped. So let me just cut this. So that'll work. And then let me cut this a little shorter. And then let's see how if I can get her down a little bit smaller too. I'll probably take all these little scraps that I'm cutting off, and I might add it to a junk mail envelope to make a little pocket out of that. So I don't think I'm going to have time to do that on this video, and I probably won't do all my ephemera on camera or the whole journal, but I'll probably pop on and do a little bit of it. So I think that'll work if I corner around the edges here. Part of me really wants to go on my sewing machine and sew around this, but I told myself I was going to try to do a journal without sewing on the sewing machine, just because it goes so much faster when you don't sew everything. So yeah, I like that. And we'll just decide here on, I'm going to glue these two pieces down, and then I'm going to decide on some lace. So I kind of like that. Yeah, I'm going to go with that one. I like that. I still might need to put a little bit more down behind that lace. So my camera shut off while I was gluing this together. And then my husband came and interrupted me because he needed my help for something for a minute. So I am back just to finish this up real quick with you guys. And so here's where I ended up. I did glue down the lace underneath the photo, or the beautiful girl, and added the little trim there. And then I think at somewhere when I was gluing that stuff down, the camera shut off. And then I did pull out in the clip art, the autumn clip art from Lorna Taylor's kit. She did have some leaves. So I did quick fussy cut this before I started recording. And I am just going to pop it on right there as a little extra embellishment. And I'm just going to use some foam tape behind that just to pop it up just a little bit higher. And I'm just going to put that down there. And I don't know yet if I'm going to put a hole in the top and make it to add like some lace or something up there. So I'm just going to leave it like this for right now because I could just put it on a page and use it as a tuck spot too. So I'm just going to leave it as is. So I am happy with the 2 that I finished today. And I'll try to come back and record a couple more of the little embellishments that I'm making, just using up some of my junk and scrap papers and then the digitals just to kind of share with you guys. So thanks again for crafting along with me today and keeping me company. And until next time, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day and happy crafting.